Greetings. I'm Eric Stevens. I'm the Vice President of Marketing with 4Point. And in this session, what I want to talk about is getting started with enterprise digital asset management. A lot of organizations have implemented some form of asset management inside their organization, usually for the marketing or the creative teams. Expanding that out to everyone in the organization, giving them effective access to all of the digital assets produced, has a tremendous number of benefits. First, it means that they're using the right thing, the right asset in all circumstances, but it also means that the marketing teams, the creative teams have more control over all of those assets, and they know that the right assets are being used. But getting started on this can often be a daunting task. It's a big job to think about how am I going to distribute assets effectively across an entire organization. So what we recommend is that organizations take a phased approach. They look at it in 4 different phases. The first is design it. Sit down, work out what you need to deliver from a new enterprise digital asset management solution. And the second phase is implement it. The third phase is migrate the assets from your current environment to your new environment. And the fourth phase is training, ensuring that everyone knows how to use the system effectively. Let me go through each of those in a little bit more detail. In phase 1, we want to understand the current environment. We want to know, what are you doing today? Not just from the marketing perspective, not just from the designer perspective, but across the organization. How are salespeople accessing your logo? How do you know that they have the right version? What are they using? Is it Dropbox? Is it G Drive? Is it what is it? What are they doing with it? We want to understand all aspects of how the assets exist in the organization, how they're created, and how they're used. We want to define and describe those processes so that the organization clearly understands what's going on. Then we want to design how we're going to put together a new solution that implements all of the things that we want to get out of it. And then we want to create a schedule associated with it. When we're looking to understand, what we're trying to drive for is what's working today, what's not working, where is it broken, and where is the good parts that we should keep. What's the current architecture look like? How are your assets stored? How are they distributed? What are the volumes that we're dealing with? What types of assets? We've got logos and we've got graphics, but what about documents? What about textual objects? What about combination objects associated with it? We want to understand the required taxonomies. We want to understand metadata. We want to understand tagging. We want to understand how people are going to search for and find all of the assets that they need to use on a regular basis. We want to understand your design teams and what creative tools that they're using today. Is it Photoshop? Is it Illustrator? Is it other tools? What are they doing? Those are going to be integral to understanding how we pull all of those pieces together. We also want to understand the workflows. We want to understand what people are doing manually on a regular basis, because we're going to automate those so that they don't have to do them anymore. We want to understand the review and approval processes inside your organization, not just for the graphical objects or the marketing objects or the web objects, but things that legal has to look at, the disclaimer text that needs to go on the electronic forms, the warning texts that have to go inside of presentations that have forward-looking statements. We need to understand all of those different pieces associated with it. Phase 1 needs to deliver a document that provides all of this information laid out for you effectively. It needs to provide a detailed description of what the solution is going to be, but it also needs to describe the schedule and the costs associated with it. At the end of phase 1, you should have a complete understanding of what your current situation is, what your new situation is going to be, how long it's going to take to move from your current situation to the new situation, and how much it's going to cost. Until you know all of this information, you can't know what the total cost of the solution is going to be. Phase 2. Well, phase 2 is the implementation phase. This is where we're going to do all of the work that lays the foundation for that solution. The first and most important thing you should look for in an implementation phase is knowledge transfer. Your teams are going to take ownership for an enterprise digital asset management solution. So you need to ensure that who's ever putting this together is transferring that information of how to implement, configure, manage, control, all aspects of the solution. You have to know all of that. Knowledge transfer is key. But you're going to actually do the work now. We're going to install the solution. We're going to configure the solution. We're going to build out the repositories. We're going to add the tagging. We're going to add the metadata. We're going to put in the taxonomy structures. We're going to put in the workflows. We're going to build the approval processes. We're going to put in the users, the groups, the authentication. And we're going to create documentation so that everyone understands exactly what's happened, what we've done in that implementation phase. Once we've got the solution implemented, now we can actually begin the migration, the movement of the information from the old system to the new system. The mechanism that we use is a set of custom scripts that are going to extract, transfer, and load a standard ETL environment, but custom to your environment because your assets and where they reside today and what your solution looks like, the tags, the metadata, all that information is all unique to your environment. One of the key things in the migration process, though, is understanding early on what sequence you want to use associated with it. There's a variety of different dimensions associated with it, different ways of sequencing it. So for example, you could sequence it by asset type. I want to grab all the graphics first, all the videos second, all the audio streams third, all my legal text fourth, whatever is the sequence. That's one. Another is by region. I'm going to do US first, then I'm going to do Canada, then I'm going to do Europe, then I'm going to do Asia. Or you might do it by usage. This set of information is used by the marketing team for the web. That's really critical that we get that one migrated first. This is used by the external agencies. We need to get that one done second. This is used by the development teams. We need to get that one done third. So you get to decide what the sequence is, but that's how you should do that. Don't try to do it all at once. Don't grab it all. Take individual pieces, cross-work, because that also allows you to test it at the end of it, that I got all the pieces through. The taxonomy makes sense, the structure makes sense. The final phase, which a lot of people miss, is training everyone. Not only do I need to train the design teams on how they should be using the repository, how they should be entering tagging related information, how they should use the standard and automated tasking systems that are now helping them out. We need to train the marketing team how to use it for the web. We need to train the developers on how to access it. We need to train the salespeople so that they can get it. We need to train the external agencies. How you do that, whether it's remote, in person, train the trainer, whatever mechanism you use, really doesn't matter, but you have to ensure that you don't forget to do the training. So a phased approach of design, implement, migrate, and then train allows you an effective plan to be able to implement an enterprise digital asset management solution so that everyone in your organization can gain access to all of the great content that's being developed and provided quickly, easily, effectively, and so everybody is doing the right thing all the time. Thank you.